A beautiful picture, a beautiful look. Midtown, you're looking at Georgia Tech right there on a gorgeous spring day as we approach 2:20 in the afternoon here in our Midtown Atlanta 11 Live Plus studio. And we are joined meteorologist Danielle Moss. Hello.
Hello, Zach.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's always a treat to have you here.
I know.
And a beautiful day out here, too.
It is.
But still dry, right?
It is. It's still very dry. Today has been absolutely gorgeous. I know that there's some clouds, and yes, we're a little bit cooler, but today is a nice day. It's still very pleasant in nature. And as you take a look at our current satellite and radar, it is not very active at all, which is good and bad at the same time. Yes, we need some rain showers, but we are looking at a nice, partly cloudy sky right now. Here's a live look into Dahlonega this afternoon. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. Currently, it's 66 degrees here in Metro Atlanta with a nice 13-mile-an-hour wind. The big weather story for today is it's a little bit cooler. That's all. In fact, today is the coolest day out of the next 7. Our temperatures across Metro Atlanta right now show around 61 degrees over in Winder, 64 in Carrollton, and 63 degrees up in Kennesaw. So we're all below average today. And in fact, when we take a look at our 24-hour temperature change, we're actually 8 degrees cooler here in Metro Atlanta, and Gainesville is around 10 degrees cooler. Throughout the day today, we'll warm up into the mid to upper 60s. Some of that cloud cover will kind of move out just a little bit. It's really partly cloudy, not mostly cloudy. So to be honest, it's really not that bad. Our temperatures, though, are still going to be relatively cool because we do have a wedge that's kind of set up right over northeast Georgia. You can see those temperatures vary. 62 degrees in Clayton in the North Georgia mountains. Meanwhile, it's 71 degrees over in West Georgia. That's going to be your high. And we talk about our temperatures being comfortable. If you're headed to Augusta for the Masters this weekend, the temperatures there are going to be perfect.
Boy, look at that, aren't they?
Yeah.
That is a gorgeous weekend for golf.
It's going to be absolutely perfect out there. 68 degrees, a little bit cloudy today, but then every day after that, we get a little bit warmer, slowly but surely, with plenty of sunshine. So that's going to be the exact same here in Metro Atlanta. Our big weather story will be the high risk of fire danger. You can see most of the state under a special weather statement that was issued by the National Weather Service for a high risk of fire danger. The other part of the state, critical or elevated. So that is an upgrade to that special weather statement. We just want to make sure that people are aware and to be cautious, right? We can't say no burning. We don't have that authority, but we can tell you that you should definitely be careful. I know a lot of times people will try to prepare for full-on spring, try to burn their grass and make it grow in a little bit greener, or try to burn some leaves that might be just lingering around from the fall. But as you can see, across really the southeast and even going up into the Midwest, there are several fires. And even as we were looking at this map yesterday, over in Wichita, Kansas, and even stretching all the way up to Nebraska, there is a wildfire there that has developed, and several fires in that area. So, you know, it's something that we're continuing to watch. We're seeing some elevated smoke down in South Georgia where that critical fire danger is located. And I just checked not too long ago that wildfire that I was telling you about that was on the state line is now 60% contained, still has burned at least 2,000 acres.
And when we look at this, what were the difference between the little individual flame indicators there and then that splotchy, yellowy, autumn-colored blob is what?
So the small fires are like brush fires, right? They are really uncontained fires, but they have not gotten out of hand. The yellow, that signifies a lot of smoke in that area, and usually it comes from wildfires.
So that's indicative of, when we look at that graphic, that, you know, I mean, a pretty broad swath of southern chunk of central Georgia into the northern chunk of South Georgia, kind of in that buffer region there, with a substantial amount of smoke.
Exactly. And that is, you know, when we talk about the risk of wildfires and the risk of these fires, sometimes, Zach, all it takes is a little spark. You know, people could literally be lighting a candle through a match. You know, like, it doesn't necessarily have to come from cigarettes. It doesn't necessarily have to come from people burning leaves. It literally can be anything, a car fire. You can't control that.
One of the things you hear about a lot is you know, if you're towing something and you've got a trailer hitch going, sometimes, you know, there's usually a chain connected, right?
Exactly.
Folks will say with the Forestry Service and others, make sure that chain isn't dragging along the road, because that metal chain can spark
immediately.
And if you are in a situation like, unfortunately, we are in, where it can happen just like that, you don't want those sparks happening.
No, you don't. And that brings up a good point. It is spring break. There's a lot of people that are traveling right now, a lot of people who are on the roads. I know I've seen an increase in a lot of mobile homes that are driving down, people going camping, people going out to just, enjoy spring break. And you might be carrying a boat. You might be carrying things behind that you might not think about on a daily basis. So you're right. This is a good time to just kind of double, triple check to make sure that you aren't being part of the problem per se. Now, this fire danger weather is also being kind of elevated with the wind gusts. So even when we see firefighters going out to attack these fires, the wind gusts are really working against them, unfortunately. Recently, there was a 25-mile-an-hour wind gust here in metro Atlanta. Thankfully, right now, we don't have any active fires, but anything could happen, in the next few hours. And I will say that the winds will be dying down just a little bit overnight tonight, but they'll still be on the gusty side, maybe 17 to 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And this trend will be continuing throughout the day on Thursday as well. But that's better than today by far. However, Thursday is still going to be nice and sunny, beautiful, but it's one of those, as we say, Zach, don't judge the book by its cover.
Don't do it. Don't ever do it.
Because, yes, it's beautiful, but I'm pretty sure that fire risk is still going to continue. In fact, it might even become a little bit more widespread. So just make sure that throughout the rest of this week, you're being very cautious until we get a good substantial rain. Highs tomorrow, though, are going to be slightly warmer into the low 70s. This is really the beginning of a warming trend for us. In fact, as we take a look at your 3-day forecast, 68 today, 71 for tomorrow, and near 78 degrees by Friday. So we're definitely on the good side of the forecast. And when we talk about what we're tracking, I think this is very interesting. You're going to see multiple systems dodging us. You see rainfall coming in from the west, and then they dissipate before they come.
They get within about a state of us, and those rain clouds decide, not for us. Happening. We're going north. We're going somewhere else.
Exactly. And as you take a look at the rain in the next 7 days, great, because Wichita is obviously struggling with the dry conditions right now, but they're going to get maybe 2 to 3 inches of rain, that purple on your screen. However, here at home, we are looking at very minimal rain chances, and the lack of cloud cover kind of shows that weather story as well throughout the next few days. So we need that rain. I know that you're seeing a few splotches on, your screen right now, but half of an inch is not going to really help with our drought conditions, just to be quite frank. And
not a lot of splotches there either.
No,
that was a pretty pristine,
exactly,
splotchless graphic.
And this is a look at, our current drought monitor.
Wow.
There's a new one that comes out tomorrow, and no doubt I'm sure that it will be at least a little bit worse than this. So we definitely have to make sure that you are being cautious. It's not just you. It's not just, your neighbors, but just make sure that you are careful. In the next 7 days, today's the coolest one, 68 degrees, and we'll be back into the 80s as we head into this weekend. Absolutely gorgeous weekend ahead. Highs near 83 degrees for both Saturday and Sunday, and then by this time next week, we'll be near 85.
I was going to razz you a little bit earlier in this forecast. You had it's light jacket weather here, but you know what? 51 degrees. When we start the day, I think it's fair.
Yes, just for a light jacket. Then you'll shred it by, lunchtime.
There are a lot of people, too, who are going to say 68 degrees. Heck yeah, I'm putting a light jacket on.
Exactly.
I'm probably in the minority opinion on this one.
I
walked out the door this morning, and I thought, boy, this is nice.
Yeah.
And it is.